Раз.
Первый пошел. So here we start, I guess. Dear colleagues, dear friends, because here I can see many friends, and I also know that online we have also many friends listening us here and attending our conference. On behalf of the organizing committee, I'm happy to greet all of you, and I would like to thank you for joining the annual conference, The World of Science Without Borders. Here, I really would mention that science and education has no borders, has no any colors. It is just science and just education. The year 2021 was announced by Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, the year of science and technology. And I want to say that this week, on Monday, here in this hall, we celebrated the Day of Science. And also, as far as I know, I guess, yesterday, the 11th of May, it is also the Day of Women's in Science. So I would like to congratulate all of us and to wish the success in science, because science in women's hand. And I guess that the men would also join us and congratulate our ladies sitting here in the hall. I would like to say that it has become already a tradition to host a conference for young researchers at Tambov State Technical University every year and provide a forum of discussion to those who are making their first steps in science. This year's conference is the eighth in the row. Symbolically, it is held during the Week of Science at Tambov State Technical University. The language of the conference is English, which is not surprising, as our university is engaged in collaborative research with many countries across the globe. I would like to mention, just yesterday, our university joined a big platform of the heritage of Italy and the whole planet Earth. It is the foundation of Romualdo del Bianco. Yesterday, they have opened the exhibition Florence in the World in Florence. And this exhibition would also take place at our university, and the grand opening of it will be on the 18th of February. It will be also online translation, and we will join the platform of Italy, Florence, the foundation of Romualdo del Bianco. Also, the city and regional administration will join us, and we will start our cooperation with the platform of Romualdo del Bianco, performing different exhibitions. I think we have to preserve the heritage of our planet, and science is the great hand of help preserving the heritage, because knowledge is a very important issue in our life. The purpose of our event is to discuss theoretical, methodological, and practical problems of the harmonious interaction of education, science, industry, and socio-economic sphere. To take it possible and to make it possible for young researchers, graduate students, and undergraduates to be involved in different kinds of research. The mission of the conference is to remove the barriers on the way of disseminating innovative projects among young researchers across the globe. And I would say that our young researchers, the researchers of Tambov State Technical University, are very active. And I'm very proud that each year, even during this pandemic time, we have young researchers who are going across the globe and studying in Portugal. They're studying now in Slovakia, in Italy, and their professors from those universities where they are studying now are really proud of our students, and I think that should make us proud. because you are teachers here and you are young researchers here, you are making the future of the science and the future of Tambov State Technical University. Future starts today, remember it. And I wish you all the best, and I wish you interesting and fruitful discussion as a part of the conference. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Natalia Gunina, and I am the head of Foreign Languages and Professional Communication Department here at Tambov State Technical University. And it's a great honor for me to start the plenary session. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to invite many of you today, as Elena has already said, due to the pandemic restrictions. We have a very close circle of friends today here, but I'm really happy that the other participants can join us online via Zoom, or they can watch the live streamed event in one of our social networks. So the topic of my presentation is becoming an autonomous learner and researcher. And today we all know that the role of English is becoming more and more important, and truly English has become the language of publishing. Researchers, all researchers, young researchers and those who have already established their position in science, they have to publish in English, and we have to accept this fact, and that's why it's really important to be fluent in English, so that to use it as a tool and to be able to give a presentation in English, to write a paper. So quite often this fact that English has become the global academic lingua franca is supported by the following statistics. For example, 27,000 journals included in the Web of Science indexes are published in English. However, only 99,000 peer-reviewed scholarly journals are published in other languages, with French, German, Spanish, and Chinese contributing to the most. So this brings us to the conclusion that English is a way to reach a broader academic audience. But you might ask me, how is it connected to the topic of my presentation, why we all need to become autonomous learners and researchers today? And the answer is obvious. As I have already said, English is a tool which you can use to become successful in the world of science and research. So let me start. In my presentation today, I'm going to address the following questions. The first is what learner autonomy is. The second is autonomous learner core competencies. I will also talk about some benefits of autonomous learning. And of course, I will give examples of the tools which all you can use to become autonomous learners and researchers. So let's start with the definition. So as you can see, the words autonomy and autonomy, they are derived from Greek words autonomia and autonomous, where auto means self and nomos means law. If we look at the definition in the Cambridge Dictionary, you will see that autonomous means independent and having the power to make your own decisions. So what is learner autonomy? Sorry. So the phrase learner autonomy was coined in the early 1980s by educational guru Henry Hollick, who defined it as learner's ability to take charge of his or her own learning. In other words, the autonomous learner takes a proactive role in the learning process, generates ideas, and takes advantage of learning opportunities. So quite often we might see the following terms: self-access learning, independent learning, autonomous learning. Although they seem quite similar, there are some differences. And first we will look at the terms self-access learning and self-edited learning. So the term self-access learning appeared in the 90s, and its introduction was connected with the start of self-access centers at universities, where students had access to learning materials. So in 1992, Benson made a distinction between self-access and self-directed learning. Self-access learning often refers to the design and organization of resources, while self-directed learning involves certain skills that the learner needs to apply in a learning situation. So we will also look at the distinction. Sorry, it stopped working. Valois, can you help me? I don't. Oh, okay. So sorry. Now I will. So I'm sorry. Now we will look briefly at the distinction between the terms independence and autonomy. And the term independence means freedom from reliance on others, while autonomy in this context means ability to make one's own decisions about what to do without being influenced or instructed to do. So the term autonomy has come to be used in the 5 ways. The first is for situations in which learners study entirely on their own. The second is for a set of skills which can be learned and applied in self-directed learning. The third is for an inborn capacity which is often suppressed by institutional education. The fourth is for the exercise of the learner's responsibility for their own learning. And the last one for the right of learners to determine the direction of their own learning. So in other words, the autonomous learner should play an active role in their learning. They should make decisions about their own learning, and they should reflect and evaluate their own learning. So as an autonomous learner, you are supposed to develop a set of certain skills which are quite obvious, and I'm sure that you all know them. The first is, of course, creativity, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, digital literacy, and the last but not least is learning how to learn. So this is basically the most important skill which learners have to develop. They should know how to learn, what tools to use in order to progress. So this brings me to my next point, which is the autonomous learner core competencies, and basically there are 5 of them. So an autonomous learner should be able to identify their own learning needs, to set learning goals to address those needs, to identify resources, both human and material, to help achieve their learning goals, to apply the appropriate learning strategies, and to evaluate the outcomes of their learning. And of course, the benefits of autonomous learning are obvious. So the first is time, and we all know that time is the most valuable resource today. So as an autonomous learner, you have access to the array of digital tools which you can use at any time whenever you find it convenient. You also take full control of your studying, and you can study at your own pace. And as the researchers say, most learners study at best when they do it at their own pace. So the other benefits of autonomous learning are as following. Of course, you become more active because you take responsibility for your own learning, you set your own goals, and this is quite motivating because you need to find the tools how to achieve your learning goals. And as a result, you become more engaged with the learning content. And of course, it encourages you to explore, and it prepares you to make use of your knowledge and skills in the future. And when you achieve this, you get this feeling of accomplishment and you feel good, and all this increases return in your investment in learning. So as an autonomous learner, you have to go through a certain cycle, which involves planning, monitoring and control, and of course, evaluation of your progress. And now I would like to talk about the autonomous learner tools and researcher tools which you can use in order to take advantage of them and achieve your learning goals. And basically they can be divided into three groups: the tools which you can use in order to progress in your language learning, the tools which help you to develop certain research skills, and self-assessment tools, because self-evaluation is a really important point which quite often is overlooked by many students, but I will show you why it is important. So let's start with the language learning tools, and the one which I would like to recommend to you is a website which is called vocabulary.com, and it's arranged as a website where you have several tabs, and for example, if you click on the dictionary tab, you will see the word of the day and some links to learners, for example, links to commonly confused words. If you if you click on the learn icon, there is a choice of different options for learners. The first is take the challenge. So you can play the challenge and start mastering some words. You can try some featured activity. You can join other users and participate in games, and you can practice some vocabulary lists. For example, if you click on the list idioms and expressions, you will be offered to look at some idioms and choose their definitions. For example, you make a mistake and choose the wrong definition. So the red cross is next to the wrong one and it is in red ink. But when you try again, and if you are successful, you see that top dog is a person who is in charge. And on the right, there is an example and some information about this idiom. So the resource is quite useful. It's really engaging and it's fun. And once you get to a new level, so it's arranged as a game, you get a badge for this, like you see at the top. Here is my account and I've got a badge for doing some activities. So it's fun. So the next resource, which I think is also useful for learners, is visualwords.com. So actually it's online graphical dictionary where you can look up words to find their definitions and associations. I know that we all, I don't mean teachers. Teachers love dictionaries, but students, unfortunately, do not find them exciting. Although when I was at school, I really loved dictionaries, and that was my favorite pastime, studying the dictionary. But unfortunately, modern students are slightly different. But for them, there is a choice of new dictionaries. For example, a graphical dictionary is good fun. So there you can look up words to find their meanings and associations with other words and concepts. For example, I choose the word cell. I typed it in the space above where it says visualize word. And it produced a diagram which is quite similar to a neural net. And actually it helps people to understand how the words associate, and what is more, it helps to understand how you can use them and in what context. For example, if you click on one of the circles, I clicked on the circle cell theory, and this explanation popped up, and it says that cell theory is used in biology. It is a theory that cells form the fundamental structure and functional units, blah, 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 blah. So you can find out some information about the term and how you can use it in what contexts. So that can be interesting. I also would like to mention some traditional learning tools which we integrate in our studies, like Quizlet and Woodwall are one of my favorites. They always add color and fun to classes, but you can use them on their own because they are based on flashcards, and it help you to memorize the words. So here, the links are here. Also, I would like to talk about the tools which can help you to develop as a researcher. And the one which I want to mention, and it was created quite a long time ago, more than 3 years, and the creator of this tool, the professor from our department, Radislav Petrovich Milrod, initiated this project. Unfortunately, he passed away last year, but still we can use his products and take advantage of them. So what is the Academic Discourse Organizer? It's a website where you can produce your own article. So it has the tabs like My Archive, My Library, and My Projects. My Archive is a collection of files which you saved as documents. My Library is a collection of your resources which you can add to different papers, which saves a lot of time. And my project is the current paper in progress, the paper you are working at the moment. And this website helps you basically with two things. Firstly, it automates your writing, so it can count words automatically. You can prepare headline, keywords, and abstract, and it will be generated as a Word document after you finish the article. And it also helps you to organize your writing, which is very useful for young researchers, those who are not quite familiar with the structure of the paper. So it navigates you through the paper and makes sure that you haven't omitted the most important things. So finally, I would like to say a few words about self-assessment tools. If you are not using any digital technology and stick to the old school approach, writing a paper or using a computer or a pen, you can use a checklist, and checklists are very helpful. They help you to make sure that everything important, everything what you need to include is in your paper. And another tool, which is also great fun and great help to learners, is online voice recorder. It's called Voca.ru, and learners can use it in different activities. For example, you can record yourself, and then you can listen to yourself, and you can check your mistakes. You can ask other students or your speaking partner, and having a speaking partner is also a great thing. I know that lots of teachers encourage their students to find speaking partners so that to practice language outside the classroom. And of course, in order to assess your product, you have to use some criteria. For example, you can assess the meaning, the language use, the delivery, and all these tools are available to the language learners. And I would like to conclude my talk with this quotation by Nick Pichi, who said, "The future really does belong to the autonomous learner." And I fully agree with this statement, because using technology helps you to develop learner and researcher autonomy and the ability to discover for themselves. Thank you for listening. Here is a list of references, and if you are interested, I can upload the presentation in our group in social network ВКонтакте. Thank you very much. And now I would like to give the floor to the second speaker of the conference. She will be joining us from another country. She will be joining us from Turkey, from Istanbul, Turkey, and she is affiliated with the Medical University in Istanbul. Her name is Irina Shilova, who works for a language school at the Department of English Language Teaching, and she will be sharing her experience of working in lockdown. And the title of her presentation is From Culture Shock to Cultural Awareness. So, Irina, you are welcome. Irina, do you hear us?
Yes. Uh, yes, dear friends, colleagues, and conference participants, I'm happy to be here with you today. So I hope you can see my presentation. Can you see it? Right? Okay. So today I'm representing Medipol University, which is situated in the cultural, business, and educational center of Turkey in Istanbul. This academic year, our university welcomed 2,830 international students from 70 countries all over the world. I'm announcing these figures not only to show that Medipol is an international university, but make you imagine that all these students had to face, or some of them are still facing, culture shock. The term has a word with a negative meaning, even frightening, shock. What is it? Is it possible to avoid it being an international student somewhere abroad? If not, is it possible to go through it quickly and without sufferings? Probably you can ask these questions now. Actually, I asked these questions myself as well. And thanks to the support and enthusiasm of my colleagues from Medipol Language School and International Office, we have tried to find the answers to all these questions. So, first of all, let us discuss today what culture shock is, its main stages. Then I'm going to share with you some possible solutions. And finally, I'm going to demonstrate the results we have managed to achieve in avoiding or overcoming the culture shock. Okay, so let us start first of all with the definition. What is culture shock? Actually, you can see this story in pictures, which represent all the stages of culture shock. This is exactly what people think and feel when they go through the culture shock. But what is culture shock? Let us have a look at the definition. Culture shock is a term used to describe what happens to people when they encounter unfamiliar surroundings and conditions. But what are the stages of culture shock? Actually, different scientists, authors, name these stages in a little bit different ways. But the idea is the same. Let us have a look at this graph. It represents 4 traditional or typical stages of culture shock. You can see here happy meter and the duration of the stage. The duration of each stage of culture shock can be different. It depends on the person, his flexibility, ability to adaptation, and also the similarities and differences of the home and host culture. Everything starts, as you can see, with the honeymoon, when the person is absolutely happy. But unfortunately, gradually, step by step, day by day, and week by week, the person, the student, in our case, goes to the most unpleasant stage, which is called hostility. Fortunately, again, little by little, we can see the next stage where humor returns. And the final stage is feeling in a new country like you feel at home. So as you see, the level of happiness during the first stage, honeymoon, and the fourth stage is almost the same. But what are the features? So first of all, let us very briefly have a look at the characteristics of each stage. The first stage is honeymoon. So the students are excited. They feel excitement with absolutely everything. New sounds, new sights, even smell. they are characterized by lots of interest in learning, and they're very motivated. You feel as if you will be able to handle absolutely everything, and you can think and say, I'm not going to have any problems adjusting. But stage two, this is the culture shock. So during this stage, very often students and people who leave just to move abroad for a long period of time feel irritation and hostility. What happens? They focus mainly on the differences between the new culture and their home culture, not on the similarities. Small differences feel like major catastrophes. This is a stage when stereotypes and prejudices can surface. And of course, they are homesick. So what about the next stage? It is a stage of gradual adjustment, humor, and students and people just start to see new perspectives. Cultural cues become easier to read and understand. You feel more comfortable, less isolated. You prefer some aspects of the new culture. And now you think, as long as I'm here, I should make the most of it. And this is absolutely right. But this is the stage when still students can experience periodic personal highs and lows, like waves. And this is also a good sign when a sense of humor returns. And the last stage, feeling at home, or the stage of adaptation. This is the stage when new culture is no longer new. The aspects different from your home culture no longer affect you in a negative way. And you are able to live and work to your full potential. And this is important for students. And I believe so that we should give some suggestions, some tips, some pieces of advice, how students can overcome the most difficult stages. How can they go through them quickly, or as I have mentioned, without suffering? So the main tips, suggestions are the following. So you should be curious. You should learn the local language. You should make new friends and learn from them. You should keep in touch with your friends and family. Try to talk to people. Don't keep everything inside. Share your feelings and emotions with them. And please remember that you are not alone. As you can see, students at this period of time need social help and support of their family, of their friends and peers. But we have decided that this is not enough. Because students now are in a new family, they are at a new university, so the university should play the vital role in their adaptation in this period. And actually, this gave us an idea. We decided to develop an orientation program for international students. The name of the program is Study in Turkey, How to Make the Most of International Study Opportunities. What are the characteristics of this program? First of all, the program represents interactive lectures. It means not only the lecturer is sharing dates, figures, information, but students are also active participants of this orientation program. So they are sharing their personal stories of success and failure. So they give their recommendations, tips how to overcome this culture shock. And so the next feature is that the language of instruction is English, and the program is rather lengthy because, of course, many universities organize orientation programs, but these programs are rather short. But our program included 5 days, 5 academic hours every day, all in all 25 academic hours. But what about the content? So when we made the decision what topics to include, first of all, we wanted to help our newcomers, students from many countries all over the world, study effectively. Because first of all, they come to Turkey as students. So we have chosen the topics connected with academic life and the topics that are necessary to acquire skills to achieve academic culture awareness, first of all. So our program is divided into 4 blocks. The first block, as I have already mentioned, is closely connected with acquiring necessary academic skills. It is called studying abroad. So what students discover here? They discover how, first of all, their personal learning styles and learning strategy. If they're auditory learners, if they're kinesthetic learners, maybe both, and so on. We teach them how to take lecture notes, how to give short presentations, and how to study effectively in general. The second block is also connected with academic sphere. We give them information about, first of all, the system of education in Turkey, because sometimes the systems of education can be very different in the home country and in the host country. We give them information about levels and types of higher education in Turkey. They also know a lot about academic exchange programs, not only Erasmus, but Turkish ones like Mevlana and Farabi. These are the academic programs that they can participate in. And of course, we give them full information about where and how they can learn Turkish, the language of their host country, and where they can improve their English. The third block is about the university structure. Students discover in facts and figures the history of Medipol University. Also, we show them and explain them the life on campus. We show them the location of campuses, dormitories. Even we tell them about opening hours of libraries, where to address in case of you have problems with your health, where to eat, what students clubs they can join, and what activities they can take part in. We tell them about security on campus and even where to go shopping. Also, we explain them very simple everyday things to do, but the things that can solve many problems. For example, how to get a reduced fare transportation card, how to buy a SIM card and register their phone, and even how to get a reduced fare museum card. This is very important in Istanbul, which is full of attractions, sites. So this card is very useful actually. And the last block, which is closely connected and fully devoted to culture shock and cultural awareness. So we let students find out, first of all, the symptoms of culture shock, because they should understand what is happening to them, the impact of culture shock and how to deal with it. What cultural awareness is and its levels. And of course, students learn more about Turkey and Turkish history and geography, famous people, landmarks, traditions and values, what to do and what not to do being in Turkey, and of course, stereotypes, if they are true or not. Okay, so this is the content of the program. Actually, the program was planned as a face-to-face program, but you know, the whole world is involved and in this pandemic situation. Of course, this pandemic has changed our plans, and we had to make a lot of changes in the program. For example, our side tour was replaced by virtual tour with videos of different Turkish sites, and real campus tour was also replaced by virtual tour. Um, and many other changes have been made. Nevertheless, we have achieved good results, and I'm going to tell about them as well. So first of all, so what results we have achieved? The program was not obligatory for the newcomers. That is why I believe the number we have of students who participated in the program is good. Actually, we managed to organize 2 groups, one by one, and the total number of students in both groups was 239 students, almost 240. I have mentioned that originally the program was planned as interactive, face-to-face, but even in this online situation, we managed to involve students in self-study surveys, questionnaires, quizzes, and even they just prepared different workbook tasks. We organized discussions, and it was a change for me, but I managed to count the number of the replies got from the students during one online lesson. In the first group, it was more than 300 replies from 46 students, and in the second group the number was also impressive, I should say, that these are not only chat answers, not only in our group, but these are also the answers when students, or replies when students try to answer the questions, share their experience, when they use their cameras and sound. They were not hiding behind their screens, and it was the victory, I should say, of our program. So appraisal was one of the feature as well. Why am I mentioning it now? Because we talk about culture shock. Any sign of belonging, appreciation is very important for students at this period of time. That is why we try to appraise our students. Appraisal was given to all the students for their participation, and active students got a special appraisal. As you can see on Teams, I managed to send individual thank you letters for students. So we try to show our students that they are precious. The next thing, the next result, that interaction with the students didn't finish after the lessons. Didn't finish with the lesson. After the lessons, interaction continued. So we talk about, again, a culture shock. So that is why we try to do everything to show the students that they are not alone, that they are members of the team, that we are thinking of them, that they have a lot of friends. That is why every day orientation program participants will send notification, useful links, announcements, reminders about the course. So to make them feel involved, to make them feel the part of our team. So, and of course, lecturer, in September, I was giving all the lectures, and my colleagues from international office answered all possible questions asked by students in our channel chat. And of course, just we tried to finalize our orientation program with a survey, which was called International Student Orientation Program. So the participants were kindly asked to participate in it and answer our questions. So here you can see only some of the answers. And of course, we try to find out, was our program successful or not? Did we manage to achieve our goals to overcome culture shock, or at least make it easier? I mean, the process of going from culture shock to cultural awareness. And of course, we gave their statement to agree or disagree with. The orientation program increased my knowledge and developed my skills, and we were extremely happy to get these answers. So as you can see, almost 60% of students strongly agree with it. About 35% of students agree with it, and less than 10 neither agree or nor disagree. So it means we have no negative answers there. So, and of course, it was a very positive result, I should say, for the organizers and for developers of the program. So, and our task was also to find out what topics were most interesting for our students. What topics should be enriched and enlarged during the next orientation program, and what topics should be eliminated if they are not interesting for the students. So if we go back to our first block, studying abroad, so please have a look at the tallest bars. So it means in this comparison, how to give a short presentation. So this topic is the winner. It has got 60% of attention. So 60% of students think that it was the most interesting topic for them. So their silver medal goes to how to take lecture notes. And the third place is so I can't see it, but this is also the how to study effectively in general. If we talk about their second block, system of education of Turkey, so the winner here is the topic connected with the levels and types of higher education in Turkey. The third block about multiple university structure. So the absolute winner is the topic connected with some everyday problems and how to solve them. More than 70% of students think that this topic is the most interesting one. But also life on campus is important for them. But in any case, you can see that all the topic involved the students, and all of them were interesting to them to this or that extent. As for the last topic, which is about culture shock and cultural awareness, the winner here is a topic connected with the history of Turkey, its geography, traditions, and so on. Also, students were interested in the topic about the symptoms and impact of culture shock. Okay, so why am I telling you now about the content of the program, its results? Because I think that the program which we have managed to develop can be used in every country by every university. For example, instead of Turkish history and geography, you can teach and you can tell about Russian history and geography, or German, or the history and geography of the UK. When we discuss how to give presentations, how to take culture notes. Here you can use the culture of your university, its academic traditions, and apply them and tell the students what you want to hear from them, how you want them to deliver presentations, and so on. So each topic can be used, but of course, it should be changed relevantly. And I think that this program is quite universal one. And you see there, it gave very good results, actually. We are delivering the second orientation program next week. Because of this pandemic situation, we are still accepting the students for the second semester. That is why we have newcomers. And next week we are going to have the second term of our orientation program as well. Just to finish my presentation, I hope that our program helped students to overcome culture shock. Overcoming culture shock and is a difficult, but it is very important step in a long way to cultural awareness. And I hope that our students are all on this way. Thank you very much for your attention. And here you can see my email address. If you have any questions, you are welcome, and I'm always happy to answer them. So thank you very much once again, and I hope to see you very soon in other conferences. Okay, so this is the end.
Thank you very much, Irina. Can you hear us?
Yes, yes, I can hear.
I'm very glad to see you, actually. And thank you very much for the very interesting presentation. And I would like to say that as far as you know, I think, and you know it perfectly, that the Faculty of International Education of our university is also dealing with some difficulties because we have also students from, I think, more than 70 countries, even now during the pandemic time. And as we are talking about science, uh, I want you maybe to think, and it would be, I think, great to perform the co-research with the professors and teachers of our Faculty of International Education.
Okay, thank you very much for your, it is a very interesting actually suggestion. It can be a cooperation of two universities based on this international sphere. Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, it's about the science, it's about the research, and also for me, the education is also very interesting. The question is, do you have any online courses which can be performed also for the students of Tambov State Technical University, for example?
So do you mean the courses which are connected with orientation program or other courses?
Some other courses,
Some.
because for orientation, it's somehow, if they would like, they can join, I think, on the online platform of your university.
Yes, of course, we have different online courses, and I can contact our international office, and they can just give the list of the courses that can be suggested, offered.
That would be great. So two international offices should be connected immediately with the list and number of the courses which could be performed by both universities, because we have the agreement of understanding, and we can work on it. So please, I hope that we will do more projects together.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sure. Okay, thank you. See you. See you. I hope to keep in touch, to keep in contact. So see you during other conferences and as well. And I hope to have very close collaboration with Tambov State Technical University.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Okay, let me give the floor to our next speaker. That's Sergei Karpov, PhD in Chemical Engineering, Associate Professor from Tambov State Technical University. And he will be talking about modern tools of fostering publication activity and promoting international scholarly communication. You are welcome, Sergei.
Good morning, dear colleagues. Thanks for organizing committee for the invitation. So it's like a good tradition for me. Today, I'm going to tell you about some services, some identifiers and applications which can help you to enhance your research activity, your teaching, your learning. And I think it will be especially useful for our young postgraduate students. So I will talk about Google Scholar, ORCID, Mendeley, ResearchGate, Publons, Scopus Author Profile, and Scimago's Journal and Country Rank. Let's start with Google Scholar. I think you will agree with me that the using of ordinary search engines such Google or Yandex, it's not very comfortable for researchers and for teachers. We receive a lot of unnecessary information, from advertisement to some rubbish information. That's why we need to use a special search engine called scholar.google.com. It is a free search engine for full-text journal articles of all subjects and disciplines. My advice is to have a mail inside Gmail domain area, so you will be able to create your own author profile and save results, history of your search. For example, here you can see the screenshot from also profile of a famous genius British physicist Stephen Hawking, and you see that the algorithms of Google Scholar, they count all the citations of his work, and you can manage and you can find citations through all over the world, much more faster than in Scopus or Web of Science citation indexes. When you fill in your author profile with your research interests, with some keywords and your own work, you will receive weekly a number of relevant new papers to your profile. So you don't need to make any searches. It's just automatically you will receive that data, and you will have the possibility to download PDF if it's open source document, or you will be redirected to the official website of a scientific journal. And you can use similar articles, you can cite that documents. For example, you can click on that quotation marks, and in a couple of seconds you will receive, and you will receive a citation according to the main citation styles. So it's very comfortable to use. You can add some filters to provide a search with a modern, a very fresh resources. So just try to use it. With the help of that technique, you will perform literature review maybe in half an hour, and you will be free. And of course, there is a problem of working with the full text of scientific papers. Google Scholar is just a search engine. So to obtain a full text in a PDF file format, I advise you to use that secret service, Sci-Hub. I'm not talking about a specific domain address because it's constantly changing. Just follow official communities of that service on the Facebook or vk.com to stay in touch with an actual address of that service, or use VPN, virtual private networks, and no problem for obtaining any information. And the combination of Google Scholar with the Sci-Hub, it's like magic for us, believe me. So let's move to Mendeley service. Here you can see a screenshot from Twitter of one young researcher, and he is writing that from the days before my Mendeley library, it seems such a shame to throw out this collection. I think you agree that that photo is a very common situation for any researcher. So all of us started from that huge mass of paper, a lot of highlightings, files. It's absolutely a mess. Thanks for digitalization in the sphere of science and research, now we can remove all the papers. We can go paperless with the help of a service called Mendeley. It's absolutely free, and it has a cloud base. So you have 2 gigabytes of cloud storage, and you can upload your own work and the PDF of scientific journals, and you will synchronize with the server of Mendeley, and you can easily obtain that information from your smartphone, from your laptop, from your tablet. That service has all the necessary applications for any platforms. So you just need to create an account, then download a desktop version of Mendeley, or you can use a web version, no problem. Just sign into that service and start working. So it is a free reference manager, and you can automatically generate bibliographies, collaborate easily with other researchers online, import papers, and others. Step number 1, install reference manager. Then you need to import documents to create your own library. If you don't need to have a full text, for example, you just need to make a citation of that work, you can create a new reference manually or with the help of DOI number, and the synchronization will automatically fill in all the necessary metadata for that article. And when you have your own library, you can start citing and creating bibliographies. It's very easy to use. For example, to add any articles, you can import them from other reference systems, or you can do it manually. And the whole interface of that software is quite similar to any mailing software like Microsoft Outlook or Thunderbird. The second way to create your own library is to use web browser add-ons. For example, you use Google Scholar, and on that page you see there are a lot of scientific papers. Just click on specific button in your web browser and you can import that references to specific folder to your Mendeley library, and you can download PDF if they are available. A very useful functionality is making annotations, because of course it's very useful to create any marks, to highlight some phrases and to use it in the future. For example, you can add that annotations on your desktop version, and you will have the same annotations in the web browser or in your tablet software. There is a search through all over your annotations. You can create your own system of hashtags to, move it to the next level of functionality. So it's very efficient way. After that, when you need to create a bibliography, you just need to install a free Microsoft Word plugin or LibreOffice plugin, which one you prefer. Then you will have a specific ribbon for Mendeley Cite-O-Matic. Click to insert citation. You just need to find an appropriate paper here, and you will add a number, a reference number to your text, and it will be connected with a specific paper in your library. And then when you will finish with your references, just click on Insert Bibliography according to specific citation style, and in 1 second you receive that bibliography. When you create any changes in your references, for example, remove something or add something, it is automatically rebuilt, and it's very comfortable to work, because you know that activity is quite a frustration time. You spend a lot of time working with just the numbers and references and no dealing with the science itself. And you see that there are a lot of citation styles. The major of them are located here, or you can download the Russian Ghost style is here. So just download it and use it. It's very comfortable. The Mendeley has a new feature which will be extremely useful for researchers working with data sheets. Uh, for some scientific journals, especially highly ranked journal, it is obligatory to add information about your data. For example, the information about your calculations or information about survey polls. So that information will be easily acceptable, and other researchers can create their own analysis to prove it or something like that. There is a functionality, Mendeley data. You can upload your own array of information, images, documents, data sets, software codes, and other. For example, MATLAB calculations. We all know about MATLAB, a software, a very powerful software for mathematical modeling. And you will register that data sheet, and you can pair the data sheet with your specific article. For example, like that one. You can download a MATLAB code, you can download Microsoft Excel data, and that data set is associated with a paper integrated product and manufacturing system and so on. So it's very easy and it's absolutely free. You receive the constant reference for that, and you can use that reference inside your article and inside any reports of any kind. Very powerful functionality. A couple of words about ORCID. ORCID, it is Open Researcher and Contributor Identifier. Again, for major part of Scopus journals, it is obligatory to provide your number, 16-digit number. And it's like your CV. You can fill all the information. You can pair your identifiers, your websites, and it's will be like your CV. And it's absolutely free. Scopus Author ID. It is, again, free functionality, but my advice is try to watch for your Scopus ID, because there are a lot of mistakes in different articles. In some article, you can have different spelling of your surname. So you need to watch for your results, and you have a possibility to merge different author profiles together. And if we talk about autonomous learning, researching, we have an opportunity to work with the Scopus from home. You just need to sign in to Scopus website using your work mail from our Tambov State Technical University domain area. For example, mails with @mail.tstu.ru, tstu.ru, admin tstu.ru, something like that. And for any institution, there is such a good opportunity. Just connect with a representative of your university, and it's very useful to use Scopus at home during pandemic situation. Publons. Publons, previously, we know about the service as a researcher ID. And now Clarivate Analytics, the owner and the developer of Web of Science, has transformed that platform into Publons, and it has a specific for providing a platform for peer reviewing. So you can tell others that I'm a specialist in some sphere, and you can create any peer reviews which will be freely available. So instead of just a functionality like a citation index and your identifiers, you have a powerful platform for reviewing. So the application, sorry. ResearchGate. So imagine um, a Facebook feed, but with no cats, with no dogs, with no memes and funny things, but your feed will consist on specific articles according to your research interests, research feed which consists on new papers from your friends inside that social network. And you can watch for all of that information. You can open that article, you can create a comment, you can go to some specific discussion, you can follow that specific paper and you will get any notifications about citations, about comments and some other. So it is a social network, international social network for researchers. And again, you don't need to spend any time for searching information. You just watch for your feed and analyze that information. It's very comfortable. For example, the interface of that specific article. You can go to also profile of an authors. You can watch for citations. You can analyze references. You can see some metrics, for example, research interest, citations, recommendations, and reads. So again, very useful instrument. Your own author profile. So you have some friends who you are follow and your followers. And you can watch for that people. And you can tell a wide scientific society about your research, about your experience. You can look at your own statistics. For example, weekly statistics for the reads of your work, for your recommendations, citations, and you have your own metrics called RG, ResearchGate metrics. So if you're a big authority, you have bigger metrics than the others. So again, I was surprised that for researchers from Europe and United States, it's more popular than a Facebook. They post any new things, they post any new thoughts, any comments, and they are interested in distribution of their own work. And if you increase the visibility of your work, you'll have a bigger probability of being cited in the future. And the last one, Saimago Journal and Country Rank. Saimago, it is a research group from Spain in the sphere of research and innovation. And they're working with analytics according to Scopus information. Very comfortable service, journal rankings. You can add any filters to find a scientific journal, especially for you, for your research area, and you can see that there is an information for Saimago Journal Rank SJR. That is an equivalent for impact factor in Scopus, SJR. And Q1, what does it mean? Quartile number 1. So very easy to use. Instead of making a dull slide like thank you for your attention, I just want to show you a photo made almost a year ago from the previous The World of Science Without Borders. In the center, you can see Professor Radislav Petrovich Mirut. You know, I'm sure that we miss him so much. He was, you know, a heart, a soul, and everything for linguistics, English learning, not just in our region, but I think that worldwide. And for me, he is the best example of the word professor, for the ability of learning for the entire life. And the best example of you know, intelligence. in a wide meaning of that word. I'm so proud that I was his colleague and contemporary. So again, we miss him so much. Thank you for your attention. Any questions? Thank you.
In your own experience, which of the resources would be probably most useful for young researchers, for instance? Which would you recommend to start them to use at the beginning of their science?
All of them. Number one, Google Scholar. Number two, Sci-Hub. Number three, Mendeley. And others on the first, fifth place. Again, you can perform literature review in half an hour. You just don't need to read the papers. You can understand the meaning of the paper from the abstract itself. And the possibility of creation a bibliography, a bibliography in just 2 clicks of a mouse, it's fantastic. In compare with the previous situation when you have to work with papers, find any information, and from your reviewers, you will receive message about that bibliography, that you don't need to use a point here, you need to use a comma. It's absolutely free, and the main thing is you just need to know English in a very average way. It's very easy to use, and all of that has a friendly user interface. Just use it. And what is the result? We will. I have recommended many times for my students, but the problem is in English. They face with an English words and oh, unfortunately.
First, you need to develop your language skills, and then you can move on to the next step, the research.
Yeah.
But using annotated bibliographies is a great tool. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Well, let me announce our last speaker. That's Ekaterina Dvaretskaya, a PhD from our department, and she will be talking about conference poster sessions and ways of handling them. Welcome, Ekaterina.
Thank you. May I have my presentation open? Okay. The presentation about conference poster presentations. It's on there. No, this one. Наталья Александровна, поможете моя презентация на рабочем столе? Okay. Conference poster presentations, just like the title. Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so first of all, good morning. My name is Ekaterina Dvaretskaya, and as you can see, this is the title of my speech today. And I think it's most logical that at a scientific conference, at a research conference, we'll speak a little bit to young researchers about how best to prepare their presentations at a conference. So first of all, I'd like to say a couple of words about, why we need to participate in conferences in general. I can see that you've probably already have some experience of taking part in different conferences. Nevertheless, I'd like to reiterate the main reasons why researchers are encouraged to take part in conferences. The first of them is quite obvious. It's participating in conferences contributes to the most recent advances in your field. And you, as a researcher, can learn from other speakers about the most contemporary, the most current research in your area. You know, as a PhD student or as a postdoc, you might be working on a project that is a year, 2 or 3 years long. But taking part regularly at conferences, you may present the most new data and discuss it with other researchers from your field. The findings that might be just, like, you know, a week old from the laboratory. So that's conferences give us the edge in the most recent, in the most current research in your field. Then, of course, it's also very important to be able to practice and learn how to talk about your data, how to present in general. Because if you're a PhD student, the whole process of this presentation skills preparations is to lead you to the defense of your dissertation. So being able to speak about your research, about your data is also very, very important for this final stage of your research project. Of course, conferences contribute to your overall research profile. Building your researcher resume gives you sort of an edge in the research career market. And certainly you can meet other researchers from your field at a conference and network with them, make contacts for maybe future positions or future collaborations. And the last, but certainly not the least point here, is to advocate for your science. This is a conference is a place where you can present your own field in the best way. It might not be the most well-known one. Your topic of research or the subject of your research may not be the most obvious for everyone. So you, as a presenter, get the chance to advocate for this specific area of research and make it more popular, make it more well-known, and finally get more funding for your research area. So that's also quite important. So these are the main points why we should present at a conference. But then you also know that there are different types of presentations that we make at conferences. Probably when we speak about a conference, most of you think that you will be giving an oral speech like I'm doing now. Well, we know that there are plenary or keynote speeches, usually given by more experienced researchers at the beginning of the conference. There are lots of section speeches, presentations that most of us give. But there is also another type of presentations, and they are called poster presentations. Yeah. Have any of you ever participated in a poster session in a research conference? Yeah, please raise your hand, those of you who have done a poster presentation. Just two. Oh, okay, so then at least let's say a couple of words about what a poster session is. Basically, you can see it here in the picture. At a poster session, usually larger conferences have so many presenters that they just cannot be fit into the schedule of sessions. So that's why they have to differentiate which presentations will be given a floor at a, at a session and which will be presented in a graphical way during a poster sessions. So here, well, since most of us here speak Russian, in Russian it's used to, we usually call it стендовый доклад, or some, also English is influenced in some way, so постерный доклад can be heard nowadays too. Well, so during a poster session, researchers present their findings, their data in a graphical way. So we summarize the most important things about our research on a poster, which are usually hung in some kind of a hall, and so we can all walk around, interact, and communicate with other researchers about their findings. It might seem quite an easy way to present. Well, it's not always so. First of all, so what you should pay attention to while preparing a poster about it. Certainly you give your poster a general title. That's obvious. Usually it corresponds with the title of your presentation, in which you summarize the main idea of it. And that's the easiest part. Yeah? But then we have to summarize everything else that there is in our talk in just one, usually A1 or A0 sheet of paper. And we might be talking about a project that was 2 years long, 3 years long, yeah? And then we have to put it all into just one sheet of paper. So a lot of thought should be given to how keep this poster nevertheless concise and simple. So and keep it focused on the topic. Usually it says usual advice is that it's not necessary to write an abstract on of your whole presentation on the poster, because basically a poster is an extended abstract of your presentation. Yeah, but I think it's up to you. It may depend very much on the topic, on the kind of research you are describing. So you might want to give a sort of an introductory paragraph to the whole of your research, and just like we write an abstract for an article and put it on a poster. And also, seems obvious, but nevertheless, very, very important. Don't forget to put your name and contact information on the poster, because remember I told you that one of the main reasons for participation in conferences is networking and making contacts. So even if you are not present at your poster during some poster sessions, someone else might come in, might read about your research and get the details from your poster to contact you later, either to discuss some questions with you, to interact with you on one of those researcher social networks or whatever, maybe just to cite your research, which is the ultimate goal for many of us. So putting your contacts, or maybe even adding your business cards in sort of a little pocket next to your poster might be a good idea. Okay, so these are some technical details about how to prepare a poster. But the look of the poster is also very, very important. On a poster, again, it might depend on the kind of information you are presenting, but it's very important to keep the sort of a logical order of blocks of information on it. Again, it's advisable to arrange information in columns or maybe in some color blocks, and number them so that a person reading this poster, looking at your poster, knows exactly which point goes after which. Arrange your information, and also, because this is a graphical way of presenting your information, don't try to include a lot of text on it. I know this is extremely difficult for researchers from the areas of humanities, where our whole research is in words. Nevertheless, even in the humanities and in other fields of science, of course, too, pay special attention to diagrams, to graphical way of presenting certain facts and ideas instead of full sentences. So charts, diagrams, are the king of a poster presentation. Each section of the poster should have a clear heading. Again, a person looking at your poster should not wonder what this or that diagram refers to, but everything should be clearly headed, numbered, as I said. And think about this graphical representation of your facts. Put quite a lot of white space or some other color space around those blocks so that they stand out. Again, all for the purpose of making your text better perceived and better understood by readers. So this is this is for an example of a poster that can be considered more or less successful. As you see, we have clear title with contact details, with affiliations of the authors at in the beginning. There is a main idea of this presentation and then the main part of the poster is taken by, again, graphs and graphical representations of the data and of the ideas that the authors want to present. Of course, you may say that I'm sort of contradicting myself because here we see quite a lot of text, but again, it's advisable to put the text not in full sentences, but in a sort of a thesis-like bullet style. And that's what we're seeing here. So again, that might be the better way to make your ideas understandable to readers and to listeners. So it's just one of the examples how a poster may look like. Not all of us are very good with, computer graphics, and it might seem like it's quite a difficult thing to arrange such a beautiful poster. But nowadays we have a lot of templates available for free on internet. Here's just one of the resources that I might recommend to you, which is called posterpresentations.com. And there you can find free templates, schablone templates for your posters. You might want to use any one of them and just complete with your own data. Or you might talk to someone in your university, in your organization, who has already prepared posters before, because, lots of organizations have a sort of a corporate template with logos, with corporate colors. For example, the colors of our university, this light blue, and we very often, when researchers from Tambov State Technical University present somewhere, we use a template for poster in light blue colors. So you can use templates from others as well, or quite a simple hint. Just like you're preparing PowerPoint slides for oral presentation, use a PowerPoint slide, but set the size of the slide to the size of the poster that you're required to use. And then you can arrange it in PowerPoint and save it then as a file in PowerPoint. So that's a simpler way also to put together your poster. Okay. Well, some thought should be given to the text in your poster. As I said, use phrases rather than full sentences, and try to keep those phrases short. Yeah. There is a clear difference between a written style of the language and the spoken style of the language. And despite the fact that on a poster we are writing something, it's still an oral presentation. So you need to write some shorter phrases so that you're able to then talk about them later, not those long sentences that we tend to produce when we're writing an academic paper. So think about this, how to keep all the text that you need to use, still keep it short on your poster. Okay. Choose a font size carefully. This is something I'm always saying, both about PowerPoint slides or some other kind of size. So choose the font, then how big the letters on your poster are going to be, because it's very common when, especially inexperienced researchers, try to put as much as possible as much as possible of text on your poster and in a very, very small font. The result is usually very negative. People are just not going to pay too much attention to reading those small letters. No. So think about this wise combination, wise balance between the amount of text and the size of the letters on your poster. Use different colors for different sorts of information. Yeah, make your poster colorful because that attracts attention, but use it consistently. You might want to choose some pattern. Let's say all my headings of the sections are going to be in one color, all the text in another. The most important details will be highlighted with a third color. So choose this pattern and use it consistently. Your final poster should not be, like a patchwork. Of all possible colors. So this is important too. Well, here is, in this picture, we can see what usually happens during a poster sessions. We see a person standing next to the poster, and other researchers just come up, and a researcher will will talk about the main ideas of their presentation. So, as I said, it's still an oral presentation, a mini oral presentation maybe. And you have to prepare for a poster session just like you are preparing for an oral presentation at a conference. So you probably need to come up with a short text, maybe just for 3 or 4 minutes, of the main points of your presentation. And you need to practice how to say it, how to talk about all the data that you have there in those 3 or 4 minutes. Because that's probably the amount of time a person will give you just to listen to you without interruptions and during a poster session. So prepare the actual text. Very often, I mean, I've come across this kind of attitude. Some researchers think that if I have a poster presentation, oh, that's the easiest way. I don't have to do anything. I just hang my poster there and I go for a walk. No, that's not the way it works. Because first of all the conferences that hold poster sessions, they have an allocated time when a researcher should be present next to their poster. And during that time, people will come up and talk to you about your research. So that's what you need those 3-4 minute speech prepared for. If you are not a very experienced presenter, you might want to practice even this 3-4 minute speech with someone. ask your friend, ask your colleague, ask your scientific supervisor to listen to you as you speak. That's especially important if you're giving a presentation in a foreign language like English, which is not our native language. Yeah, so be prepared to give this speech. Next, unlike an oral presentation at a session, there is no specific structure for a presentation at a poster session. It's basically an act of communication and of interaction with other researchers. So people might interrupt you, people might ask you questions. You might start talking to someone about your research and then another person comes up and you have to adapt somehow your speech so as to include or maybe repeat some of the details that you have already said to a new person. So that's why, again, you need to psychologically and linguistically, if we're talking about English language presentations, prepare to repeat those things, to use phrases like, as I've already said, as it has been mentioned before. So think about those communication patterns that you might use during such a presentation. So be prepared to interact with other researchers. If you just allow me to go a little bit back to this sample poster that I've shown you, have a look. At the bottom of the page here, we have a QR code. Yeah, it's just one of the ideas, but also something for you to think about. Obviously, as we said, we cannot put everything that might come up during the communication with other researchers on a poster. So in this QR code, you can think about it beforehand. You can, for example, create some cloud storage with some documents that are persistent to your presentation. You might create some additional materials that you would like to share with them, and then code it with a QR code. So anyone who is interested in more details about your work, you may just recommend them to scan that code and they can access this information later. So another way to, again, prepare to give fuller details on your data on your research is, we are all nowadays have access to lots of electronic devices. Yeah, at least our smartphones are always in our pocket. So you might prepare PowerPoint presentations about more details about your research beforehand. And if someone is interested, you can show it to them on a tablet or on a smartphone, yeah, during the poster session. So as you can see, it's not only the poster that you have to design for the poster sessions, but also think about what other additional materials you might show to people who are interested in your research. And the most simple way is just to prepare some handouts, attach them next to your poster, and share them with everyone who is interested. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just go back onto my presentation. Well, so of course, I cannot tell you exactly what sort of information to put on your poster, because of course that very, very much depends on the topic of your research. So that's why we're not going into these details today. But again, I will reiterate that graphical data should be given preference, because that's what will, first of all, attract people to your poster out of 100 others that are hanging next to it. And that's what will provide some illustrations to the points that you will be giving in your small presentation. But again, technologies are developing, and nowadays you can come across an interactive presentations at the poster sessions. Sometimes we are not given just a place to hang a paper poster. Sometimes you're given a screen to which you upload an electronic version of your poster. And that gives you lots of new opportunities. You can integrate maybe videos into your poster presentations. You can integrate some other media files. So it's your presentation becomes more of a multimedia event than just a paper poster. So think about it as well. Well, that's about it, what I wanted to say to you about. So I would like to thank you for your attention and wish you good luck in your future research and your poster presentations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ekaterina Valerievna, and thank you all for coming to the plenary session and listening to the presentation. And I hope that you thoroughly enjoyed it. And now we will have a short break. And after the break, so let's say 5 minutes. Is 5 minutes enough? We will move on to special interest groups, and I will ask postgraduate students to stay here. And the students who did a course in translation and translation studies, we will move to the next room. So thank you very much.